Tonight we're going to talk about division. So we're going to take some notes, and tomorrow we're going to practice this. And I want you to make the relationship that we can show division in multiple ways. So one way we can show division, let's write this, multiple ways to represent division. So we learned in elementary school with the line and the dots on top. I'm going to use C's and H, and I want you to think about the Old West. In the Old West, the cowboy would lead the horse on a rope. So your cowboy, when we write with this line with the two dots, is always in front of the horse. So we can use this with numbers as well. So we have 6 divided by 3. We can also represent this with what you would call the house. And when we do that, the cowboy who's leading the horse gets tired. So the cowboy goes inside the hotel and ties his horse up outside. So we would see that with the 6 and the 3 as 3 into 6. The last way that we did in our notes the other day for division is with a fraction bar. And this is going to be the way you see it most often this year and in middle school. And the cowboy in the Old West rides on top of the horse. So with the 6 and the 3, it would look like that. So keep in mind, the 6 is going to go in, and the 3 is going to go out in all of these representations. Okay? It doesn't matter which of these 3 methods you use. In all 3 ways, we get the same value of 2. Okay? Now, division is great when it comes out nice and pretty, but sometimes we have leftovers. Okay? When we have leftovers, we call them remainders. And in elementary school, you learn to write that little R with whatever was left. But we can write those remainders as a fraction. So we can write these remainders as fractions. But we have to make sure with all fractions to reduce. If we don't reduce, it's not going to be correct. To do this, we simply need to just write the remainder over the divisor. Excuse me, I wrote an E instead of an I. D-I-V-S-I-S-O-R, which is a fancy way of saying the outside or the bottom number, also known in a fraction as the denominator. So I want to show you an example of this. We're going to do 2 examples, and then I'm going to give you 2 practice problems. So in our first example, I'm just going to go ahead and write it with a house because that's what you're used to, and then we'll look at it as a fraction. So if I said then 2 into 55, where the 55 is what we call the dividend, and the 2 is the divisor. So we know 2 goes into 5 twice. 2 times 2 is 4. subtract, bring down the 5. Then we're saying 2 into 15 is 7. 14 with 1 left over. Now normally you would say remainder 1. Okay, we're not going to do that. We're going to say 27 and 1 over 2, which is 1/2. So the remainder, which is the 1, goes over the divisor, which is the 2. So we could even write this as a fraction and say 55 over 2 is equal to the mixed number of 27 and 1/2. And you can think of this kind of as a popcorn. So let's try another. What if I asked you, what is, we're going to write it as a fraction, 902 over 18. Well, how do we write this with a house? Cowboy rides on top of the horse. The cowboy goes inside and the horse stays out. So the 902 is going to go inside and the 18 is going to go outside. Now be careful. 18 does not go into 9. So you can put an X or you can put a 0, whichever you were taught. So we're going to look at 18 into 90. Well, that goes 5 times 5 times 18 is 90. Subtract, bring down the 2. 18 does not go into 2. So technically, this is my remainder. But remember, we're not going to write it like that. We're going to say 50 and 2 over 18. Well, let's see what that looks like. 50 and 2 over 18. Well, 2 over 18, those are both even numbers, so we can simplify this or reduce it by 2. So now it becomes 50, 2 goes into 2, 1 time, 2 goes into 18, 9 times. So we can write this as 50 and 1/9. What I'd like you to do in your journal and then answer on the Ed puzzle are these 2 practice problems. The first one, I'm going to go ahead and write as a straight division for you. We're going to say 3 into 359. Now I want you to be aware that if we were to write that out long ways, we could write 359 divided by 3 as a fraction, 359 over 3. Those are all equal. I'd like you to solve that. And the second one I'd like you to solve is 162 over 5. We're going to look at that tomorrow and do some more practice. We're going to talk about division rules tomorrow as well. Good luck on your assignment. If you have questions, bring them to class tomorrow or you can email me. Have a good night.